Eden Koz here with Just Be, and we are about to take a spiritual boom. We are at an unprecedented time in human history where we are transitioning from 3D to 5D within the great spiritual awakening. This video and audio podcast is the place for you to find your truth beyond politics, your sovereignty, your voice. Let's kick up your vibration now. By the way, each episode ends with the Just Be practice to do just that. And as we begin the show, just to know a little bit more about me, I'm a soul realignment specialist, meditation master, and dimensional healer. Learn more, and there's merch also at EdenJustBe.com. Let's get this party started. Okay, I'm ready. Eden Just Be Spiritual Boom in association with the Grassroots Warriors Network. Hello, Catherine. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good. We had like 30 minutes of tech difficulties, but we are here now. We're ready to record. We're live together, even though the show isn't live and will be on in 2 weeks. I, believe it or not, don't have very much to say, so I'm going to go right into Catherine's bio. And we're going to get started. So let me say this. Catherine is local, and y'all know I love having local people on the show because it's just, it's just nice. And knowing that we have contacts all over the world, but there are people right here in my area who know what's going on, who are energetically involved, who are spiritual. It's great. So Catherine, MacTurak here are you in North Canton or Canton?
No, Canton.
Okay, so Canton, Ohio, which is near Akron, spent 18 years as a registered nurse. She's still licensed in beautiful Western medicine. Okay, after a wild 10-year battle with symptoms that first seemed like they were unknown, she became a certified natural health professional in 2013, started doing biofeedback for clients, and worked in a natural health store. She became certified as an emotion code practitioner. We can talk about all these different modalities. Integrative reflexology. She became a Zyto specialist in biofeedback, a Reiki master, performed ionic foot detoxes. In 2023, big thing. She had an energy enhancement system installed in her home. The system helps to repair DNA, energizes the mitochondria, and raises the voltage in cells to a healthy level. And she does this word of mouth, and we'll talk more about that as well. And I did want to mention this straight off the bat, Catherine. In 1999, you moved to Ohio from Philly, and I think you grew up in the DC area. So when you came here, you saw Dr. Sherry Tenpenny.
Yes.
And I wanted to bring that up because she is so big in this freedom movement and truther movement. So you saw her with your children. I know you have two sons, but was just one potentially at the time?
It was one, but I was having them both treated, but it was the one that was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And we can talk about that too, because I don't know, like I know at some point she lost her license. I mean, she's really been speaking out against vaccines and that sort of thing. So I was going to research her before we got on the show, but there's very little information that I rely on. Do you know anything else that's going on with her currently?
Her license was reinstated,
Okay.
and yes, and she has been the attack of a lot of legal proceedings, and even my records from back then are no longer exist because there was a fire at her original office,
Oh,
and it
geez.
was questionable. But so we don't have any of our older medical records. But yes, she's had several attacks on her. As you know, there were some health issues more recently where she attended some of these truther movements things, and like 5 or 6 people got really, 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 really sick. And so we're not sure, but she is making a comeback. She's much healthier now, and she's really still speaking up and not letting them deter her.
Oh my God. You knew. So she's located in Cleveland, Ohio. Is that correct?
Yes, up by the airport. Yes.
Okay. And she looks like she's in her 60s. Do you know how old she is and how long
I
she's been doing
believe
this?
she is about in her 60s, but she's been doing this, I would say, probably as long as I've been nursing,
Okay.
45 years.
All right. And I'll try and have a picture of her too. If you're not familiar with her, she is a from what I can see, again, not knowing, everybody plays their roles or a good, bad, whatever, but she does seem like to be a really great, strong woman.
She is.
Awesome. Okay, so let's bring the focus back on you, Catherine. Can you start out by telling everybody how you woke up to the untruths of the world? I know you had a major medical experience as well. Was that what did it, or did it come after for you, or a combination? Please explain.
I with my symptoms, I was not getting help from the allopathic, the Western medicine world, and I wanted to. My deal with God was to live till my kids were in the fifth grade, and I had one sister that was in alternative medicine out in Kansas City,
Okay.
and she introduced me to the biomeridian and getting muscle tested and biofeedback and clearing things that are in our body. Now, I didn't necessarily believe in it, but I just wanted to live. So I tried it, and then I started, well, I'll try a little bit of this and see if it works. But so that's kind of, I wasn't a firm believer yet, but then I realized, hey, this is working because my son did not need surgery to have the tubes put in his ears after going to Dr. Tenpenny. And we were doing allergy elimination, with tapping down the spine and doing these different things. And I was like, oh, it must work. But I think that, and then with me, they put me on Zoloft because, of course, my symptoms of feeling something crawling in my brain must have been due to my husband traveling, my then husband
Okay,
traveling.
so is that how it started with the physical stuff, like the
Yes, it
brain?
started with the physical stuff with me, and then and then with my son, I didn't want him to have, we were moving, I didn't want him to have surgery before
Yeah.
we moved back here because nobody moved here because no surgeon would want to do the follow-up.
Oh my God.
So
Okay, so how long ago was this
I
exactly
was
when that
99.
99? All right, so you were having this feeling. What did that actually feel like? Things literally crawling in your brain or on top of your head or inside of your head?
Inside, tingling. I felt like I was on a ship all the time. I would get vertigo to the point where I would just be vomiting on the way to the doctor because I
Oh
couldn't
my
stop
God.
anything. And my memory, my cognition was affected, but I would feel pressure in my head and I would feel like a tingly movement. And they did ended up being hospitalized for meningitis, but they treated me for shingles of the brain because they felt it was viral, but they were really surprised because people my age don't get shingles of the brain. And I said, what age do they get it? And they said, well, at 50. Well, I was 49.
Okay.
So I didn't meet the cutoff of when I should get shingles. But anyway, so that was my original symptoms, and then it just kept getting worse. We moved out here. I
Okay.
could not find the grocery store. I couldn't remember where I left my kids. My cognition really was getting worse.
Okay, and
So,
when they put you on antidepressant medicine,
yes.
what did that do when you were already experiencing knowing that it wasn't helping?
It made me numb.
Okay.
And with all of our moves, I went to a GYN when we moved back to Pennsylvania, and he's the one that actually said, "So you're on Zoloft, you're going through life numb, right?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's so I wouldn't react. It was numbing me, so I wouldn't, and I couldn't think through anything. So it was like I was a robot." But they they just continued because they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me.
So
It
what
took
was
me off of it, actually.
okay, well, okay, so what was the big breakthrough within that?
The breakthrough was a friend who had been diagnosed when we moved back to Ohio the second time. A friend had been diagnosed with MS, multiple sclerosis, for
Okay.
23 years. And I went to the same church as her, and she said, you need to go see Dr. Josephs in Pennsylvania because I think you have Lyme disease. And I didn't know the ins and outs of Lyme disease yet. I had met people that thought they were dying from it when I was in Pennsylvania, But so I went out, and she had had to have a PICC line in and IVs. And so when I went to see Dr. Joseph's, my spinal at the hospital, my spinal tap was negative, my blood was negative. They couldn't find anything. And Dr. Joseph's did a doxycycline challenge with a urine challenge, just with an antibiotic on for 7 days. And on days 3, 5, and 7, you do your first catch urine. I had the dead spirochetes that had been crawling in my head in my urine.
Okay,
So that
what is that? Like I'm
a
familiar with.
bacteria.
Oh,
It's the parasites.
okay. So the parasites had literally been crawling around up there.
The doxycycline was killing them, and they were coming out in my urine.
Oh, oh, okay.
But there's nothing wrong with you, honey.
She's Louise. And how did were those in microscopic? Could you see it through a microscope? Like
I
how?
couldn't see them. I know that you just sent the urine into the lung.
Oh gosh. And they basically said, "Hey, this is what's happening."
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Actually, on the day
Oh,
3,
jeez.
I forgot had to do the first catch. And so I did about the third catch urine. So that one came back negative,
Okay.
but days 5 and 7 were positive. So I only had a 66% chance that it was Lyme disease because the spirochetes were only in 2 out of the 3 specimens. It's kind of like being 66% pregnant.
Okay, good point. So when was that? Did you have additional treatment?
Yes, so I
Okay.
continued the doxycycline for 3 months, and
Okay.
it was just tearing up my gut. My symptoms were starting to be relieved, and I was starting to get my brain back. I couldn't walk into like a store with fluorescent lights. I was still had a lot of anxiety. I just felt like my nerves were all fired up.
Yeah.
And so he switched me to amoxicillin. And I did that for another month. And that my stomach, the antibiotics really mess with your body. So I said, can I stop these? How will I know if it's gone? And he said, well, yeah, you can stop it. You'll know if it's gone. If it comes back, it wasn't gone. So that's what
Okay.
I did. I stopped the antibiotics, and I did very well for a while. And then I started having a flare up 2 years later.
Okay.
And I have a
2 years.
chiropractor now who knows how to treat it with Dr. Cowden's protocol, which is herbs, nutrimetic herbs. And so if I even think, even with my biofeedback and with the Ampcoil, I can do a voice analysis or a voice print, we call it now, or I can do biofeedback to see if there were different things that are popping up that are telling me that I need to address this again. It doesn't diagnose, treat, prevent, cure, or mitigate anything.
Okay. All right. So I know two friends that are not into alternative who have Lyme disease, and I don't know what their situation is right now, but it's been traumatic. So when you went through it for 10 years, what was that like? You made a deal with God, just let me last it a little longer. It had to be tell us, Catherine. It sounds like it was really hard. Is that
It
accurate?
was, people don't believe you because you look fine.
Okay.
And I was even told that, why don't you just believe what the doctors are telling you, that nothing's wrong? And I just knew there's something wrong with me. I
Yeah.
can't, I'm not functioning well. If the kids were alive at the end of the day and my then husband was traveling, I mean, I still had to be there for them or function. I did have support from my neighbors who would check
Really?
on me and help me out. And after my meningitis, we had food like for weeks
Oh,
because I still couldn't function. But I was on IVs at home. They were treating me for the shingles, which is viral with the acyclovir, but it was bacterial.
okay. All right. And
So
isn't there still like I know that Lyme disease can be cured, but I think isn't still the Western medicine thought that once you get Lyme disease, you have it forever? Like it's one of those things that you
there's
don't.
different philosophies on that.
Okay.
I am a believer that, well, you're not going to like this, But I am a believer that the antibiotics push it farther into the cell and you may not be able to find it. Does that mean that you got rid of it? No.
Interesting.
But I would need to, do much more research on that. That's just my belief. And I do believe you can get rid of it. But
Mhm.
I always believe, because I believe in energy medicine as well, always predisposed, or you're kind of set up for it to, with trauma, new trauma or something, it can come back. You still have the cellular energy of it. It does not mean that you have Lyme disease, but you can have we have cellular memory.
Yes, we do.
And so you have the cellular energy of it.
Hmm.
So the most important thing in the world, have a strong immune system so you can fight anything off. I don't care what the name of it is. They can call it MS, they can call it lupus, they can call it anything they want. With any disease, if we have a strong enough immune system, we can fight things off.
Now, with this happening to you and you being in the Western medicine world, and then finally, what was it? What was it like when you finally started feeling better after that huge amount of time, a decade of time?
I started to, I actually could see the leaves and every leaf on the trees. It's like a veil was lifted. Life was crisp. I was able to do more things. It was a slow process,
Yeah.
but I started biking again. I
Oh
started
my
doing things
gosh.
again, but I was bicycle, not motorcycle. We're in Ohio, but I have to clarify
Yeah.
that. But I was able to start doing things. But I did notice even then I would still sometimes I'd get tired more easily.
Hmm.
And I think my body had just been run down for so many years. And I would think, oh gosh, I hope this doesn't come back if I had symptoms. So I still had a little bit of fear there.
Sure.
At this point, I'm not fearful because I know what we have available to us. And there's so much out there that we do have available to us. Even though Western medicine doesn't recognize a lot of it, I do believe they will not have an option for much longer to not recognize it.
I would completely agree. How young are your boys when you were going through
Well,
this?
5 and 3 when it,
Man,
yeah,
that's
five
a
and three,
lot.
94 and 95 to 1999, 99 when we first moved.
All right. So, saying that your neighbors were very helpful and knowing that that's a age where they really need their parents. What was that? Did you feel like you missed a whole part of their life, or how do you feel
I
about that looking back on it now?
Yeah, I didn't, I felt like I was not completely there,
Mm.
but I made it a point to, if I could lay there and read with them, or if I could
Oh
do
man.
something with them. And my neighbors would, they had kids too, and they would play with the neighbors and do things with them as well. I would be able to do things where I knew I would be safe doing them.
Mm.
I would not take them somewhere to a lake where I wouldn't be able to save them, even though I was a lifeguard all my life.
My God.
I would do things that were safe for us and enrich them. And we would go on family vacations, which there was another adult there, which would be helpful. But like I wouldn't always be able to go skiing or because we would go skiing every year, but I would do things that were safe for me to do with them. And I apologized to them for being sick all those years and not being there for them. And they just thought you were always there for us, Mom. So,
Wow.
our interpretation of what we think we should be as a mom or whatever, and their interpretation of what we're doing are so different. And it was really, um, rewarding to know that I didn't just let them be on their own, but they were very good. They loved to read. We didn't have television in the house, so they loved to build things. So they were quite independent, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, their punishments actually were that they weren't allowed to read.
So great. That is amazing. Okay, I don't want to forget about Ohio being a red state. And I want to go into that for a second. So, with all of this, were you just like the medical, and knowing you're still licensed, is that
Yeah.
correct? Did your mindset completely shift? Yeah. What'd you do with that?
It's hard once you've been indoctrinated into allopathic or Western medicine to completely get rid of it.
Okay.
So, but I would question, okay, if they're going to do this, because
It's
we do need Western medicine, you know. I would question what they were doing, and I would research, and if I needed to, because of all the antibiotics, I ended up needing to go on an antifungal.
mhm.
And so if I ever had to be on an antibiotic, because repeated sinus infections were also one of my symptoms, I would take the antifungal. But now that I know what I can do energetically and herbally, I don't have to rely on them. But in the back of my mind, I wish I could get rid of it. In an emergency, I could always go back to Western drugs.
Okay. So when you say that we need Western medicine, clarify that a little bit.
If
What
I
do we
break
need?
my arm, I'm not going to go to an herbalist.
Okay. All right.
If it's
Great
if it's
example.
broken through the bone, if it's set, I am going to go to an herbalist. I'm going to take nip bone, and because that will knit my bones,
Hmm.
and I will do things like that. But I mean, sometimes we need, if I have a gangrenous gallbladder, I probably will have to have it out so that I don't become septic and die. But that for that type of thing, but for I do question, okay, you're due for, I'm not, God doesn't have a schedule for me to be due for anything. I hate to tell people that.
Oh, I
Uh,
love that.
there's no schedule. So why
Yeah.
would I actually had an incident where I burned myself on some steam from a teapot. We were skiing in Jackson Hole, and I had I would put a teapot on because it's so dry, and I would want to humidify the air, but it ran out, and I didn't think, and I picked up the teapot and put it under hot cold water, and the steam came up and burned my hand.
Yeah.
Well, when I went to the hospital, they wanted to give me a tetanus shot. How dirty is steam? Steam is
Um,
sterile, isn't it?
yeah.
Or just about. But they insisted on this tetanus shot, and I kept fighting them and fighting them. And eventually I gave in. They gave me enough morphine for the pain, and I eventually gave in. And then my then husband walks in, and I'm surprised that you agreed to that.
Hmm.
What? Because
Yeah.
my beliefs, and I needed somebody there to say no, no, no. But yeah, because the tetanus, when was the last time a doctor saw tetanus, do you think?
I can't even, yeah, I
Ever?
think, but I don't know.
Yeah, and is it from something, do we really get tetanus from steam or rusty nail or
No. So why did you agree to the shot? Because it was so prolific. You need this, you need this, you need this, that you were just like, all right.
oh yeah, I was bullied. I was definitely bullied. And I was
Okay.
in so much pain, and I was worn down and drugged because I was on pain meds, but and you cannot get just a tetanus shot. It's DPT. I think it's 1986 that they passed a law. You cannot get it without the others in it. So, but you don't need it. It's just like, would you take chemo to prevent yourself from getting
Oh
tetanus?
gosh.
I mean, cancer.
No.
So why do we have a scheduled tetanus shot for our children
Hmm.
so they don't get tetanus if they don't cut themselves?
Okay. I have more questions for you, but I might come back to those. All right. When did you start to see, okay, knowing that Western medicine indoctrination, and tell me if this is a kind of a blanket statement. I don't know if that's a quite official, that from my perspective, Western medicine is really great in emergencies
Oh,
too.
yes, yes, yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Like you talked about a broken arm or like when I went through my scenario that was an emergency, there wasn't really time to do other things per se, even though
Yeah.
I would like to. And then there was everyone in my family that would have been like, you're crazy if you don't do Western medicine. So that pressure, and then so much of it too, I was kind of not conscious and out of it. So things just
Hmm.
happened. So I had to put my trust and faith in God and, just
Yes, yes.
let it all go. Okay. So seeing that, the track of medicine isn't quite where it should be in, let's just say, the United States. In terms of Dr. Tenpenny and seeing more in the world, because I love your note too that you worked as a lifeguard during college at the Watergate Healthy Club in DC. You were not involved or aware of politics at the time and didn't even realize what happened at the Watergate in the DNC office. So people being blackmailed. How, in terms of politics and institutions, when did that start to really come into your view?
That did not come to me until about 2017
Okay.
when I was working. I had a client that was telling me about that 9/11 was a setup. There were planes that hit it. And she was in the military, so was her husband. They lived in Germany. And I was like, this lady really is crazy. It's like, what do you mean
Right.
there wasn't a plane? There were two of them.
I
And
saw it on video. I saw it
yes,
on
with
the
my
news.
own eyes.
Hmm.
And I just thought that was a really outrageous statement to make. And she was, saying you would be surprised what we were participating in. And then when I realized, I started researching it, I'm like, there's quite a few people saying this.
Okay, so even though you thought that she was like off her rocker, it
Yeah.
still prompted you to
Oh,
look.
yes.
Wow,
Yeah.
what was it about her that made you, on some level, kind of believe or at least open yourself up to that? Just because she was so credible, or
Oh, well, I do believe she was very credible, but
okay,
then I was like, she's very determined. She really believes this. I'm going to check this out.
okay.
She was so convinced, or yeah.
Okay, so I would also say, based on people that I've interviewed and myself personally, that 2017 is pretty a lot earlier than most folks. Were
Really?
you,
I
as you,
thought I was late.
oh gosh, no, I think like for many of us, COVID was the big thing. And then 9/11, a lot of people with 9/11. And there are some people that came into the world knowing that something was off, which that's got to be to me so hard living your full life
Yeah.
knowing that. So when you started realizing that things were off, did you have other people in your world that were like, yes, I completely agree with you? Or were you alone, isolated?
No, I was alone.
Oh, dang it.
Do you really believe
Oh gosh, your kids too were just like, you're cuckoo.
so? Well, what I do is, okay, sure, Mom. But no, I didn't know a lot of people that believed that, but then I started running into more people that had believed that, but the subject had never come up.
Mm.
And then it's like, well, yeah, sure. Didn't you know that? And it's like, no, I didn't. And so there's especially two women that are in my life that they're very wise, very wise.
So how did the topics open up into those subjects just organically? And you were like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
you're my
yeah. I
person.
wouldn't it's not something like, well, somebody said,
Okay.
so a friend was saying, made a comment, one of the women made a comment like, yeah, like 9/11. And I was like, funny you should say that.
Let's talk more. So after 9/11, what were some of your bigger discoveries?
Um, the I guess the building seven, the just with 9/11, it was a controlled demolition,
Hmm.
and that it's like, wow, when you look at things, now you have to look at everything with a different set of eyes because you didn't see it that way the first time.
Right.
And so then it's like, well, okay, what was the setup with I think the SEAL Team 6 was a really big one for me. It was like they sent people in there and they knew they wouldn't be coming out.
I don't even know if I know that. Can you explain that a little bit? Or maybe I do, but I'm just not SEAL Team Six. When did that happen?
I'm not sure when that was the in Benghazi, but I remember that somebody was saying, it sounded like, oh, they went in and then they got ambushed kind of thing. And then you do start to question, and then it was coming out that they weren't, that wasn't really how everything happened. And then even on one of the, a telegram hasn't been around that long, but there was somebody that would say, wait till you hear the true story. And then you're like, there is something behind it. Um, but then I also started getting involved with We the People and realizing that are we really being represented?
Yeah.
And then what's the C not COS, the group that was meeting, and
Um,
I forget what it
Office
was
of
called.
Safety.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and that's how we
And
met
then
originally.
yes, yes. And then seeing some of the behavior or
Yeah.
tactics used with that. I actually, I had sent in my application to become a sovereign citizen, and then I'm thinking, I can't do this with these people. I don't feel like there's complete truth here.
Yes.
And I was really questioning everything. I even wanted my application back. Oh, but you can't get it back. So then I became very suspicious of all politicians. And then as I became more and more active, I even, we with one of the parties, there was $100,000 fine for not doing an audit, and nobody spoke about that before the election. Then the person got in, and then it came out, and it's like we knew about this before. So I just was like, the whole thing is not in our best interest, and there's people that are already positioned and set up. And it's very discouraging, and then I'm like, well, we still have to fight for what we can fight for. But that was, yeah, just I didn't wasn't familiar with politics per se until coming out here to Ohio.
Ooh, and isn't it so interesting? Like I was with you, I didn't really, I generally listen to things like I've watched more like when Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was being questioned to take the role. Like I watched that whole thing. It was like 2.5 hours or something. Like I watch stuff now. Like I would have never done this in the past because it's also so now it's so interesting and I'm so engaged. Just again, trying to be in this human ascension to be part of it, but not to be part of it all at the same time, which is a really wonderful, wonderful place to be. Um, yeah, so political in it, doing the show for as long as I have been. It's just, it's really interesting. And now I can't imagine not being in it and not knowing what's going on.
It helps you to realize what people are missing and what
Yeah,
they're fighting for that they really don't like realize. And,
exactly.
and that's frightening.
Yes, good
Yeah.
point.
And I question everybody, even Robert Kennedy Jr.,
Yep.
because if you're still going to promote uh, jabs for kids, where's our freedom?
Hmm.
I mean, if you're saying, oh, they had to do the schedule, but it sounds like we might not be doing that. But even if you're saying it's okay to take the COVID shot, knowing what we know, there's a disconnect there.
Yes. Yeah. And I was wondering too if he said some things just to get into the position. Like I just interviewed this gentleman who knows Kennedy personally, and he's like, he is a man. I feel a man of integrity. But
Yeah.
it is just to watch everything going on and the games that are being played and who has
Yes.
to say something for it's just yeah to also to sit back and go okay I'm not really going to trust anybody, but I kind of am, but I'm not. And
Yeah.
things can change and players can change.
And that's okay. You just have to question everything. That's okay.
I know.
We're meant to be curious.
I love that too. Yes, we're meant to be curious. Okay, let's go into. Well, I do want to go back to a red state, and then I want to talk about more of the healings that you do, and especially with the energy enhancement system, because I've never seen that. And I'm thinking about just doing the show. I should have gone to your place and actually seen it working.
Yeah, yes.
Tell about the red states for a second. What does that mean for those who don't know?
Okay, one thing I'm just going to correct is I do not do healings.
Yes, go,
God
yeah.
does healings. Thank you.
Hmm.
Because remember, I don't diagnose, treat, mitigate,
Yep,
prevent. Okay. Um,
understood.
and okay, now what was the question?
So, in terms of a red state, what does that mean
Oh, okay.
exactly?
A red state means, in my interpretation, is that it's not very friendly towards natural health, naturopathic doctors. I have a friend who lost his license, who is a naturopathic doctor. Um, I believe he was doing some, you know how everybody's doing needling now?
Hmm.
And they can call it, it is a type of acupuncture. In my mind, if they're putting a needle into your body to interrupt the nerve or stimulate a nerve, that's acupuncture. And this was several years ago. So it's before the physical therapists or the doctors could take a weekend, 2-day course and become certified in needling, dry needling. And
Jeez.
my acupuncturist trained in China for several years, and she's
Yeah.
an amazing acupuncturist. And I had an injury, and I told her I had dry needling, and she goes, "You do realize that that is an acupuncture, and they don't have to have all the medical background like a medical person to be able to do that." And she's like, "I would be. You really need to be cautious with that." And I was just they're allowing some things if the AMA pays for it or if somebody's I'd love to follow the money trail for that.
Yes.
But for the natural health, they try to get rid of supplements. You can't say anything, and that's not, it's the FDA too, but when I was looking into the red state, there were 8 in the US that came very hard down on natural health practitioners, naturopaths. You are not recognized as a naturopath in the state of Ohio, but other states recognize you.
Okay. Do you remember which states specifically were red states? I know Ohio's one.
No, I just was
Okay.
interested
Just
in that. I
looking.
don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see.
That would be interesting to see. All right. Let's talk about all of these different modalities that you do. Why don't we start with the energy enhancement system? What is that?
It is, I'm going to hold up this little picture
Okay.
if it will work. Can you see that?
No.
Oh, okay. Can you see the screens?
Okay. Back it up a little bit. Oh gosh, it's not focusing in.
Okay. Oh, there it
Oh,
is.
there it is a little bit. All right.
So
Okay.
yeah, you can see, oops, some screens here.
Okay. And for those who are listening, can you also describe? So there are some
Yeah,
screens,
there's a
4 screens.
computer, and then there's 4 screens on here. I have a 4-unit system.
Okay.
Some people have 8 units, 16, 32. There's a 108 unit system they just put one, I don't know if it's India or they just put one in somewhere else.
Does
When
that
I
mean the number of screens that are you?
Yes, and
Whoa.
screens and computers, yes.
Okay.
So what it's doing is the computer is putting off the scalar energy
Okay.
and into the room, and it goes throughout the room. And then there's the screen, the monitors are putting out biophotons, which is light therapy. Um, and so what it's doing is creating frequencies in the area, in the room, that help to raise our cells to 70 to 90 millivolts. Because when our cells have lower energy, then we are prone to illness, severe illnesses below
Mhm.
20 millivolts. and it helps to repair our DNA, energize the mitochondria. It gives us an environment to sit in that or sleep in, whatever you're going to do in there, where it's giving our body what it needs to heal.
Okay.
Okay. And it's hard. I know it was hard to see that, but with inflammation, you can see inflammation when you're doing thermograms, you can see the results from sitting after a session from, I don't know. Oops, no.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can see it far. Well, there's just a perfect little sweet spot. There we
Right
go, right
there.
there.
Okay. There's one picture where there's a head that they did
Yep.
thermography on, and it's all red, and that's all the inflammation. After a session, the inflammation has gone down, and it's all green on thermography. And then
Wow.
there's the blood cells are all thickened. When people say, "Oh, you have sticky or thick blood cells," it's called
Yeah.
rouleau. After a session, they're all floating freely around on these blood cell analysis. And it helps to balance your chakras. It helps to um, there's a picture of a cell before a session, and it's just this dim blue light because everything is light. The cells are light energy, and then after the session, it's just bright like a sparkler,
Hmm.
and because it's energized the cells. The testimonials are absolutely amazing of bad cells disappearing, people with on the spectrum, their brains are seeming to work better. I'm trying to be very cautious with my words. And all kinds of things are healing for people when they're given this opportunity to be in a room that is giving them the energy for their body to heal itself. Our bodies are meant to heal itself.
Yes. All right. So, does the amount of time frequency vary per person? I'm assuming it
Yes,
does.
everybody's different. Everybody's different. Some people can be in there for 2 hours, even their dogs, and then their dog's tumor is gone, or the dog, somebody I know, her dog could not even stand up. The dog, after I think she spent the night in there, the dog was able to stand up by the morning. And so everybody's different. Some people, there's one person who's getting rid of something significant, and she did 200 hours, and it's shrinking, but it's not gone. But it was the next couple of hours that worked for her. So everybody's different. And it does work on body, mind, spirit, soul. When I first started going, it really worked on my emotions. I've had trauma. I had 4 family members die, three within 33 days. The hospital killed two of them with hospital two protocols, my brother, my younger brother, and my older brother. We told my mother that my older brother was dead, she had a stroke and died the next day. And then
Oh,
I have a
Catherine.
sister that took her life 8 months later from the grief and litigation that some other siblings had brought into the picture. So and I had such an experience, and it was in a system that's about 40 minutes from me because I didn't have mine yet. And I had a very moving experience where I was definitely touched by Jesus. I was, I went to sleep so I went somewhere while I was out. And I know I wasn't going to talk about this, but I went somewhere and I was just curled up crying, stooped down. And then this person walked up to me barefoot with a white robe on and put his hand on my head and said, "You're going to be fine." And I had peace throughout me completely, but I was just crying, and I knew it was Jesus just putting his hands on me and bringing me through everything I came through. So,
Okay.
so it
Wow.
does work on emotions too.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing all that and the very personal experience that you had also. Okay. Knowing that you have this machine installed at your home, how do you work it? Because I watched one podcast that you were on that was very like really helping people you come in yourself, like you're like kind of a facilitator from afar. Okay, explain that a little bit.
I just provide it.
Okay.
As far as the energy enhancement system, people schedule. I'm here, of course, and I explain it, and they go in there, and there's two women that come, and they're really good friends, and they may talk. If there were other people in there, we wouldn't be talking. It's just a time for your body. You would sit there and relax. I have had meditation groups in there where it was so much more intense. The
Can imagine.
meditation brought us to different places or brought us further than we would have had we not been in there.
Hmm.
So that is one of the so I'm not really I provide the opportunity for them to use it is
Can you
really
have
all it is.
multiple people use it at the same time? I know you talked about the
I can
two.
seat nine. I seat
Oh,
nine.
9.
Yes.
And for it, like one person might sit there an hour, 30 minutes. It just varies on.
They generally recommend 2 hour sessions.
Okay.
But so there's some people, I have one woman who's very sensitive to energy, and she's had gone through very difficult trauma, and she only wanted to do an hour at a time because she wanted to kind of help. Okay, I only want a little bit at a time. I don't want to totally. She was concerned about how it might affect her emotionally. She
Yeah.
wanted to hold it together. That's okay. Anytime you can get in there, if it is 30 minutes, that's 30 minutes more than you had before. And everybody's different. Some people they're just like, oh, I just feel so good. I don't even want to leave. Um,
Well, it's my
and
house. You got to scoot at some point. Go
oh
on now.
no, I tell them lock the door on your way out, and I
Oh,
tell them
that's
how
so
to lock the
great,
door.
Catherine. Wow. Wow. So, out of everything that you do, also with, because I know we're going to go to the practice in a moment, you're going to do something from heart math, which is incredible. What else have you, in terms of your docket of practices that you do? What else has been really incredible?
I would have to say, well, the Ampcoil has is something that was created for people with Lyme disease and with autoimmune, and it is like a doctor in a box.
Okay, is it a handheld kind of a thing? Can you describe more of what it is?
No, it is it's a machine
Mm-hmm.
that depends on which one you get. There's a tablet that you speak into, and the tablet also has different programs on it. I don't know if you can see that. There you go.
Okay.
So you have a tablet, and then you have the amplifier. That's why it's called Ampcoil.
Okay.
That is, so the information is going from the tablet through the amplifier, through the amp, and then it goes into this coil. And it's a big modified Tesla coil that is, you sit on your body. It's like a big magnet. Oh, that's going in and out. But yeah, it's like a big magnet, and then it's delivering the frequencies. So I can speak into this tablet, and it will tell me the imbalances in my body, first organs, systems, and glands, and then it'll do nutritional imbalances, and then it will do microbes, bacteria, metals, viruses, the frequencies, because everything has a frequency, and they like just like Rife machines and other frequency devices, they've already mapped out these frequencies. So you can play your program, or your journey is what they call it, and you can either neutralize these, or kind of like cleanse them from your body, or you can play programs, journeys that are already preset, positivity, immune boost. Um, oh, there's so many. Uh, I like brain reboot because it helps to reset my brain with frequencies so it goes back to normal, and it helps connect me. There's one called Higher Self. There's a 30-step detox, which can help clear out your baseline so that you're working from a clean slate. But it has so
Nice.
many different opportunities to use. I also use it remotely on people.
Hmm. And it looks like would you say like kind of a big suitcase?
Yes, the 2.0 looks like a big suitcase.
Big suitcase. It is so neat during this time, especially there are so many different resources to, let's say, to make you feel better, to get you, back into life. And the more people that are open to trying these alternative things, because they're really, again, it's funny to call them alternative, but they're really not. They are
No.
just, they have such value, and they're like taking a pill and having all these side effects and being numbed out to
Mhm.
something. You don't have to go through that. And part of it is, I believe, in all these practices is to discover yourself and
Yes.
just
Yeah.
discover what makes you tick. And Catherine, that's so beautiful. Okay, can you give us one more tool?
Okay. Let's see. Let's see. I'm trying to think between the emotion code or reflex certified integrated reflexology.
Hmm.
Um, the emotion code, everybody needs. Um, if you we get emotions that get trapped in our cells. We may
Yes.
not remember all of them. And why do we have certain behaviors, or why do we react so certain ways to people, or why aren't we moving ahead? We have these energies, these emotions that we've lived through in our lives. It doesn't have to be trauma,
Hmm.
but that they've gotten stuck in our cells. So, but it can help with a lot of different things, and a lot of it is physical symptoms. When we get rid of emotions that are trapped in our bodies, we can get, I mean, it has been known to help. I mean, there's 60 different things: acid reflux, anxiety, bedwetting, headaches, impotency, knee pain, panic attacks, hormonal imbalances, back pain, allergies, chronic fatigue. All kinds of things can be from emotions that are trapped in our bodies in certain areas. Just like you've heard about, oh, well, if they have hip pain, then they're having trouble moving forward in
Hmm.
life. So if we can release these trapped emotions, we identify them with applied kinesiology and a chart, and then we release them from our cells. And we ask different questions, but we're also using a magnet on the governing meridian and asking permission to release it. And then we can release it from the cells, and then you will release it from your body over and with a certain period of time. And we ask your body how long that will be. But people, it feels like a load has been lifted off them, like they had a suitcase on their back and
Yeah.
somebody took it off, and they can breathe easier, and they can move through life much more easily and move on.
I'm just relaxing thing. And I feel that during this great awakening in the new earth, we are, if you're desirous of that, all these emotions that are in your body, whether they're from parallel lives or passed down through genetics. I mean, there's so much that our body
Absolutely.
contains. And now is the time to clear all of that out, if you wish. And that is I feel like right now, Catherine, I can say this, I am feeling so good.
Oh,
So
good.
good. So I have one, I keep talking about that. I have one challenge with my eyes that I'm going through, but everything else is just feeling good and light in your body, knowing that we're also moving into a more crystalline body form as well. It's just so amazing. And part of my show is also with Catherine to go, whatever challenges you're going through, hang in there. Like
Yeah,
there are so many of us right now that have had some really hard things to go through in the past 5 years to really clear all this out. But now, the veil is being lifted. It's a beautiful time to be alive. There's still chaos and everything going on outside of you, but it doesn't have to be inside of you. Awesome. Catherine, can you please do the practice for us with what you had planned?
Just be
okay.
practice.
Nice.
With heart math, the Institute has been around for, I think, about 30 years, but there is a connection between our heart and our brains. And when we do this technique, it's just a quick coherence. Normally, we can be not in sync with our heart and our brain. And when we are like that, we're not really at peace. We're not calm. Our nervous system is not calm. Our vagus nerve and everything is just not resonating together. But when
Excellent.
we do these exercises, like a meditation, then we can align those and we can bring peace to our mind, our body, our systems in our body. And actually, our heart has energy that goes out at least 6 feet. We can affect other people even around us. So that if we do this, we can all, it just love, unconditional love, the highest frequencies is what we want for everybody. Even if you don't like somebody, that's okay. We don't have to like everybody, but just know that we still need to treat them respectfully or whatever, or
Beautiful.
step back and set boundaries, but still respectfully. But so heart math is we're going to take some deep breaths,
Okay.
and then we're going to think of our heart and connect with our heart. And then I'll be talking through this. And then we will think of something positive, something that makes you happy, that brings you joy, anything that you've experienced. And as they say, as Joe Dispenza says, you have to feel it. You can't just think it. So we're going to spend a little bit of time trying to feel it. So we're going to just take a couple minutes, a couple deep breaths. Excuse me. And if you want, you can even put your hand on your heart, and we're going to just take several slow, deep breaths. So we're going to breathe in. Imagine it going through your heart. And then we're going to breathe out. We're going to do that again. Just breathing oxygen and love into our hearts. And then we're going to breathe out. We're going to do that one more time. We want our exhale to be longer than our inhale. We're going to breathe in. Trying to relax our body. And pay attention to your heart area. And try and think about something that brings you joy, that makes you feel warm and fuzzy, or your favorite place. It could be holding your kitten or at a beach, somewhere where you feel safe and just free, and just how much you love that feeling, and try and feel that as though you were experiencing that right now. And continue breathing in and out slowly. Notice how your body relaxes more as well as you do that. Try to relax your jaw and your shoulders. Okay. And try to really feel that feeling. When you're ready, you can start coming out of that.
Oh, but I don't want to.
I know, I know. I'm cutting it a little
Ooh.
bit short, but it's something you can do anywhere. And what that's doing is bringing you back into a state of coherence. Your heart and your brain are resonating together. And I have the at Heart Math app, and when I started it, and your heart rate variability, it becomes more resonant and cohesive. By doing this, even 4 minutes a day, you recover better from insults or trauma. Insult as in getting upset at something. I don't mean somebody's insulting you, or trauma or a bad event, of getting angry. You recover much more quickly, which is less stress on your body and helps your body to maintain. But when you look at the patterns, the frequency waves, when I started out, it was all jagged. But once you could practice this and continue it, it comes out to a smooth wave from practice as you get better, and you're able to recover quicker from events that upset you.
Mm-hmm.
They're using it in the schools a lot too, but they do it with the
Think.
military and Occoquan
Oh,
down in Virginia, PTSD, panic attacks, all kinds of things. They're really an amazing organization, and
yeah.
anybody can learn to do it.
Nice. And did Greg Braden start it specifically?
No, no, I forgot his name.
Okay, but he's a part of it, I know. Or
They all, yes, they have done a conglomeration where years ago, I don't know if it was 15 years ago, sorry, they're mowing my grass. They they decided they were going to practice in Washington, D.C. and have people from around the globe participate. But thousands and thousands of people came to D.C.
Mm,
and they were doing heart math meditations, and they were trying to lower the crime rate in DC. And so they did this. I don't know if it was for 10 hours but there were people, thousands, came over upon DC. They were all over the globe. And the crime rate actually dropped by about 25% during that time.
man, that's so great.
So we're all connected.
So
We all
great.
have that energy. And, our hearts go out, so far. So we want to have that love for each other.
Ooh, I would say it's even further than 6 feet. I
Oh,
think it's
yes, they've met it.
exponential.
Yes, yeah.
Hey, woman, if someone wanted to contact you, knowing that a lot of your work is word of mouth, what would you say? What would you give?
I would say they can call, text, or email me. My phone number is 330-280-2726. And if you don't leave a message, I don't call back because
Okay.
I'm getting a lot of spam.
Okay. Got it. And again, you can do this remote, so it doesn't have to be within the area.
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
For certain things. Okay. And
Yes,
what?
well, and then my email address is naturalnurse, the digit 2, at gmail.com. And I can do the Ampcoil and the EE system remotely and also the emotion code.
Okay. Get it on. All right, local girl. We're done now. This was
Okay.
fabulous, and it was so nice. Like I know you, but it's so
Yeah,
great to sit here and have. Again, everybody knows I enjoy the show so much because I get to just
you
sit down
do.
and really talk to people and learn, and I end up learning so much more about you. So thank you again for sharing everything and that sharing your heart and all of that too. It was wonderful. So Catherine, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. All right, so hang on with me just a minute. All right, as we continue, great people coming on. It's it's just great. It's just great. It's just great. All right, see you later. Bye. Y'all, find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, True Social, as well as Rumble, BitChute, YouTube, plus a plethora of other audio directories like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So like, subscribe, do it all. See ya.